All right, so in today's lesson, we're going to be continuing by looking at the atomic bomb and how it was able to produce radiation. Now, in the previous lesson, I took you through the reactions that occurred in the atomic bomb within the neutron initiator. We looked at the structure of the atomic bomb and the fact that it had a gun-like assembly structure. So it works like a gun, where of course it has the propellant that then moves its projectile of the subcritical mass of uranium into the target of subcritical mass of uranium. We also spoke about the reactions that happen in the neutron initiator between polonium and beryllium that are then going to release that neutron. Now, what we're going to be looking at today, if we look at our anticipation guide, is going to be I can explain the process of nuclear fission. And really, all that means is that you can explain the process by which the nucleus of uranium is going to split to produce vast amounts of energy that are going to impact human health. All right, so first to get started, I've put a scaffold up here. There is a supporting video as well on nuclear fission that you can feel free to watch. I'll just go briefly through what we're going to do in class. You can then watch this video for support. So let's start over here. Okay, so I've got the scaffold up here and ready. Now, the first thing I'd like you to do is I'd like you to write down what the reactions are that happen in the neutron initiator. And the reason that I want you to do this is because I need you to understand that there is a link between what we did in the last lesson and what we're doing this lesson. So remember, in this process, looking back here, if we go back to this reaction, these reactions happening here to produce that neutron are what you need to put in this box right here. So I'm just going to come to the end product. I'm not going to write all the reactions out. I will put up the answer key for everyone, probably towards the end of the day today. So the net result of the reactions that happen here, and I am looking for the reaction of polonium, and I am looking for the reaction of beryllium as well within the neutron initiator, right? So that's what we're looking at. But what I'm really focused on is the fact that I've got this one neutron that is going to be produced. Now, that one neutron, and what it basically does is it's going to be responsible for targeting. So here's our neutron here. And that neutron is going to be responsible for targeting the uranium. Now, remember, we spoke about uranium, and we said that uranium had an atomic mass of 235 and an atomic number of 92. Now, this type of uranium here is quite unstable. But if we wanted something to be really unstable to produce vast amounts of energy, one way we could make it so unstable is by adding an extra neutron, right? So what we've done in this reaction is we've taken that neutron there, and what we've done is we've just added it to the nucleus of this uranium. And I'm just going to move us down here. So in this box, the nuclear fission, what's going to happen is for that fission, what I'd like you to do is write out what I'm going to basically go through here. That goes under nuclear fission just right there. Okay, so looking at this over here, the first thing we've got is that one neutron, right? And over here, what we had is uranium 235. So what we're doing is we're adding a neutron to that mass of 235, because remember, the atomic mass is made up of the protons and it's made up of the neutrons as well. Okay. As a result of that, what's going to happen here is you're going to end up with uranium 236. Now, when we get that uranium 236, it is so unstable that what needs to happen is that this whole nucleus, where all the protons and the neutrons are, the forces that are holding that nucleus together can no longer hold it together. And so what happens is they kind of like break apart. And the fact, once they break apart, one of the main things that is produced is that energy. Okay, and that's our focus. That's what we're looking at for what is the impact on human health. Now, but something that we also need to consider is this. Three other things that are produced are 3 neutrons. We also get 2 more substances. So in this particular case, we're going to end up with krypton, and we're going to end up with barium. Okay, now when we're looking at the krypton and the barium being produced, we're not worried about those. So that's why I'm not going to write their mass numbers or atomic numbers or anything like that, because I'm not really concerned with those per se at the moment. But what I am concerned with is two things. I'm concerned with the fact that we have produced more neutrons, and I'm also concerned with the fact that we have produced energy. Now, the reason I'm concerned with the neutrons, first of all, is because, remember, one neutron can have a direct impact on one atom of uranium, causing it to produce energy. So if I wanted a lot of energy, what do you think we might need to do? So let's say, for example, I created an atomic bomb, but I only put one atom of uranium in it. So I have this neutron then hits it, and then the nuclear forces are going to break apart. Is that going to be sufficient to produce the type of energy that's going to cause the destruction and the damage that the people who designed the bomb were thinking about? Obviously, it's not going to. So what we need to do is we need to add lots of different uranium atoms. So we need to have a lot of them. So if I just kind of show you what this might look like. So in the bomb, remember now we've got the critical mass. And what we look at is lots of uranium atoms, right? So it's filled with them. Of course, I'm not going to draw as many as there were, of course, in the atomic bomb, but we're just going to talk about the fact that there were lots. So remember, with this neutron that just came in, here's one neutron, right? So the first neutron that was made in the neutron initiator can target the first one. But then I also want to target all the rest of these, but I don't have enough neutrons because the neutron initiator only made that one neutron for me. But what I want is I want to attack all of these uranium atoms. And the way that we're going to continue the attack of the uranium atoms is through these neutrons. So all of these neutrons that are going to be produced are going to be used to target the other uranium atoms. And of course, as you'd imagine as well, as each uranium atom is then losing the ability to hold or to maintain its nucleus, what's then happening is that you end up with more neutrons being produced. And the more neutrons you produce, the more they can target the rest of the uranium atom. So as a result, and this is happening within seconds, of course, so what you're producing is these vast amounts of energy. Okay, so the first thing I want us to do there is make sure that you've written your notes on nuclear fission just right here, talking about the fact that this is what we consider it to be. We actually describe it as a chain reaction. And it's like, because you have one neutron targets, then you get the production of more neutrons from that uranium. Those neutrons then go on to the next one, and on to the next one, and on to the next one. What basically happens is you're just generating almost like a domino effect or a chain reaction of all of these uranium nuclei sort of splitting apart. Now, we come to the next thing, which is the energy. And this is where our major focus is going to be. So all that we've looked at so far in terms of what's happening in the atomic bomb is actually an understanding of where the energy came from. So it was important for you to understand that we needed to break up the uranium to be able to produce the energy. That's why we looked at the reactions in the neutron initiator, and that's why we then looked at nuclear fission, because it is actually that nuclear fission that's going to generate that energy for us. Now, if we move on to the type of energy that we're producing, this is what I want you to look at. We've got the first type of energy that's going to be produced is mechanical energy. And mechanical energy, in terms of the atomic bomb, is the energy that's stored within that bomb that allows it to move and then allows it to explode, of course. Now, the reality is energy, we never lose energy. Energy just changes form. Now, the mechanical energy that we have is at about 50%, but once the bomb explodes, that 50% can change into other types of energies. And some of the energies that it could change into would be something like sound energy and something like light energy. Now, when we think about the sound energy from an explosion, it's so loud. If you were in a proximity close by to where the bomb was, then of course that could cause, whether it could be permanent or it could be temporary deafness. It also produces light. A lot of the survivors of the atomic bomb spoke about how when the atomic bomb went off, how they actually went blind for a bit of time. Some people, of course, were permanently blinded, so there was a blinding white light. And what that does is it can burn the retina, so it can burn the back of the eye. Okay, so it is important for us to consider the types of energies that, of course, were produced and the impacts that they were going to have on health. Another type of energy that was produced was thermal energy, and that's heat energy. And so I think that one was at about 30% of the energy produced, give or take. Now, thermal energy, of course, is heat energy, comes from the fires that are produced. A lot of heat is generated from that. So lots of people were incinerated. They were burned so badly, there was nothing left of them. And we spoke about this in class about how people were completely burnt to the point where the only thing left of them was the shadow of where they were standing. That was evidence that somebody was actually there. So lots of people, of course, those who did survive the burns, some people got really severe burns. Others, like I said, burnt completely. Others may have sustained moderate to minor burns. That would have all depended on how far or close you were. The person, of course, was to the atomic bomb. Okay, now the one that we're mostly going to focus on in our studies is going to be radiation. And radiation, 20% of it was actually produced. So 20% of radiation was produced, and that radiation comes in three forms. So it comes in the form of alpha rays, it comes in the form of, let me just move that up a little bit. It comes in the form of beta, and it comes in the form of gamma. Okay, so we've got three types of radiation that we are going to be exploring in the context of our subject. Now, just so that you're aware, of course, all of these are ionizing types of ionizing radiation. But the one that we are going to be most concerned about is going to be this gamma radiation. And in the next video, I'll explain to you why it is that gamma radiation is the one that we worry about the most when it comes to the impact that it could have on the human body. So that's pretty much what we're going to cover for the lesson today. Now, the other things that we will do is I'll just take you back to our page here. So basically, just for us to remember, can you explain the process of nuclear fission? So looking at basically how the neutron is going to target the nucleus of the uranium and it's going to split it and in the end produce the energy and the neutrons. Are you going to be able to explain that in detail? And then can you discuss the different types of energy released from the atomic bomb? Those are the different types of energies that I've just gone through. Of course, we haven't gone through them in detail yet. That'll be our next step. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to focus on the energies and how they actually impact our health. Now, once you're done with that, what I'd like you to do is this worksheet, please. If you could complete that, you can also send a copy of that to me and I can check it for you to make sure that you're on the right track. So if you're in my class, please send it to me. If you're in Elspeth's class, please send it to her and we will mark them. We'll go through the answers as well. With you, I'll put up an answer key as well once the classes are done for the day. Now, if you have any questions about the material that I've covered today, please send me an email and I will endeavor to get back to you as soon as I can to clear up any confusion. I'll see you in the next video.